Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. And don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. For the 1 millionth time, we got that free agency tracker. So you want to know, get analysis on every signing, re-signing, whatever, go to the Commander's homepage on ESPN.com and you get it all there. All right. Or get it sent to your phone as part of notifications, whatever you want to do, just do it. We have for all the NFL Nation reporters do their team. So if you want to know what the Cowboys reporter thinks of what they've done, you can go to their page as well. So anyways, there you go. So in a minute, I'm going to be joined by Nicki Jhabvala from the Washington Post as we kind of go over the roster and just I wanted to get her thoughts on where she felt things were at after this first week of free agency. And there's a lot more time to go. There's more things to address. But what does Nicki think about where they're at right now? And again, 6 months to that first game. So deep breath if you think they're not finished or that they're not done it, if they haven't done enough, there's still more to go. So anyways, I get Nicki's thoughts in a minute. So before we get to her, just a reminder for you Gold members, have a private Zoom Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern time. So join me there, bring your questions, comments, whatever, always a good time. And I will be doing more of these obviously throughout the off season. Next month, I'll have somebody else on with me as just another guest. And for you regular members, I will be doing a Zoom with you in a week or two. So I got a couple of road trips coming up. So got to take care of those. And then we go from there. So anyways, just wanted to give you a heads up on that. So look for that stuff. And so, couple things. One, it's funny because after they signed Dedrick Wise, my initial thought was, and I talk about this with Nicki, and then after, getting more information about how people see him, just wanted to just kind of pass it along because, when I first saw him, like I thought he was pretty good against the run in the game. I saw him when you're doing these things live and you got if they sign a guy and you got to record a podcast within 40 minutes, you don't have a lot of time to process everything or to go look at everything. But what I've heard about him is strong edge setter. That's what the people who know consider him, and that he's a guy who can play inside or outside. So when you look at what he can do, I think it adds to what they're trying to attain here is getting a versatile front. And I think that's what they're doing. So I just think there's more and more options that they have and more guys they can use in a variety of ways for sure. And again, that front is not complete yet because I think there's still another move to be made as we stand right now, mostly likely in the draft. But anyway, so I just want to pass it along about Wise. That's what the book on him is from people that I know who know quite a bit. Anyways, also before I get to Nicki, we did talk to Laremy Tunsil on Monday, and there are a couple of things that to me stood out. Two things in particular. I'm going to play for you little clips here from our Zoom session with him. So I did ask him, what kind of impact does he think he can make here? And this is what he had to say.
I mean, honestly, I think I can make a huge impact. Just talking from a player standpoint, what I bring to the table, pass protector, a damn good run blocker, a leader. I can be a mentor to the young guys in the O-line room, D-line room, doesn't matter, in the position group. I think I can make a huge impact quickly, honestly. In my opinion, I think they traded me. They traded for me for that reason, just to make a huge impact on the team. So, I'm down to do whatever they want me to do, especially at year 10. If they need me to play quarterback and back up Jaden, then I can do that, running back, whatever.
And then the other one was, I think it was Chick Hernandez asked him about his thoughts on Jaden Daniels. Now, remember, Tunsil played with C.J. Stroud in Houston for 2 years, and C.J. had a terrific rookie season as well. Last year did not go quite as well. I think did not go quite as well for the Texans overall. Not that he was terrible. I just think that there was some more things going on. They fired their offensive coordinator, so a lot going on. But Tunsil has played with a good quarterback, but now he's playing with one of Stroud's best friends in Jaden Daniels. So this is what Tunsil had to say about Jaden Daniels, and I think you'll like it.
Athletic, smart, can make plays whenever he wants to. Composed, just to be so young. Like him and CJ have that same trait. They're very composed, especially in tough situations. You can just tell he was a baller. Even in college, you can see he was a baller. And again, I'm excited to be in this position, blocking for a young guy like that who can make plays whenever he wants to.
All right, well, that's enough from the press conference stuff. Here, without further ado, here's my conversation with the Washington Post, Nicki Jhabvala. Okay, Nicki, so we're about a week or so outside of the start of tampering, free agency, whatever. When you look at what Washington has done, what has stood out to you?
Yeah, I think the first thing is the number of guys they've signed, which they've had to. They had 28 of their own inner free agency. So it was inevitable that they would have to do a number of deals just to, as Adam said, to field the full roster. But I thought that the most notable one was the trades. They were pretty active in the trade market, more so than really the free agency market. First trading for Deebo Samuel, of course, and then picking up Laremy Tunsil on the first day of the free agent negotiation period. And that's huge. I mean, they've had so many changes to their offensive line over the years, but they've never really made significant investment in the front
Right.
five until then. And coupled with the Marshawn Lattimore trade, of course, the Deebo trade. I mean, it does show, and I know you wrote this, that they're really in it to win it. Now they understand that with Jaden Daniels, they have a short window to maximize, their time, his time on a rookie deal. So it's their time to spend big elsewhere on the roster. So that was the most notable one. It wasn't even tied to free agency. It was the trades.
For sure. And as we talked before about that window, and to me, I always consider it a first window because it's the contract window, right? But do you look at it like how do you process it only instead of a win now, like meaning this year, it's a win during this window? Or how do you see it?
I see it as a really win during that window. I mean,
Right,
they
me too.
sooner the better, sure, right? Like, but I think they view it as they have this limited amount of time to really, give their best shot to a Super Bowl. It doesn't mean they won't thereafter, but this is when, the odds are in their favor just because of the financial structure. I mean, Jaden's gonna make big money. My son says hello.
I don't hear him.
You don't hear. I got him a DJ turnstile table, and he loves it and hates it at the same time. Um, but yeah, I think they understand that they have a narrow window that they want to try to maximize the roster for. So you can spend on the left tackle, you can spend on edge rusher, interior defensive line, cornerback, because once you pay your quarterback big money, obviously funds elsewhere are going to be limited.
So do you look at like, so how do you view this roster as far like, listen, it's March 17th. So I'm a big believer. I think we all are about season's still 6 months away. But as we stand now in that win now window, again, this contract or not just this year, but how do you look at the roster as being at that point where could they do that right now? And what else what needs to get them there?
I mean, I like some of their moves. Okay, I'm gonna start that over. I like some of their moves. I there are some I'm still unsure of. I don't quite understand the Javon Kinlaw signing. I know there's the familiarity there with him and Adam Peters and Daryl's Happ in San Francisco. I don't quite see the production there to warrant the 3 years and $45 million, but clearly they know more about him than I do. Maybe they see something that clearly we're not seeing, a potential there to do more. I'm also just not quite sure of where they see him on the line because he has been bigger. And he did mention to us that he's planning to slim down a bit to get his speed back, his explosiveness back. So will they view him, and you and I had this conversation earlier, will they view him more as a D end or will he be an interior guy?
Or
But to
both?
let go, yeah, or both. And then to let go of Jonathan Allen, to bring in something that doesn't add up to his production over the years on the line is we just don't know how it's going to pan out. I think Javon Kinlaw could easily come in and have a monster year and prove me wrong. But I'm just based on what we've seen so far, I'm not sure yet. And I like some of their other moves on the second. I really like Jonathan Jones. I enjoyed talking to him. I've heard good things about him. I think he's a really good addition. I'm not sure how all the pieces fit yet. They let go of Jeremy Chin. How do they view these new versatile pieces? Who will play in the slot? Who will be outside? Not quite sure yet.
And right, and I'm with you. Like I really like Jonathan Jones, and I've heard good things about Dietrich Wise. And it's funny because I kept talking about him as more of a run stopper. I think he may be more. He's okay against the run, but I think there may be more of a power pass rush too. And he's not like he's posted big sack numbers, but I think you got him and guys like Martin. Can they do enough to offset what they don't yet have? And that's the thing that I'm wondering about too. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I still think the draft could be big for them. I know they only got what six picks left
Wow.
after these deals. But it's a heavy pass rusher market. I think they could get some quality guys there and really add, especially at the end. Um, so yeah, I mean, I really like Jacob Martin. I know him a little bit just from Colorado. He went to, worked out in the area. So I know he's a good kid. I would like to see him do well. I think he could add some depth there, especially in the pass rush. But it's so hard now because you just don't know how the pieces fit. It's hard to know how will they
Right.
work together at the very, I mean, on paper, Washington had 4 first-round picks. They should have been monsters on the defensive line for years, and they just never really meshed. So it's so hard to know how these guys will work together. I got to think that with DQ and Joe Witt, that they'll really, you know, I feel like they're really good coaches at actually developing and not just talking about it. So you want to think that they'll kind of fit the mold of what they're looking for. Um, we'll see.
I do like that you're at the point in your career where you call someone who's been in the NFL for 7 years a kid.
I feel so old. Anyone?
Trust
Thank
me.
God for Nick Valor, the lone 1980s baby on the roster.
Listen, I could refer to like guys like, oh yeah, Laremy Tunsil and Bobby Wagner. He's a good kid. That's where I'm at in my age. So, and anyways, I just think that's funny. But it is like I do think to your point though, I also wonder they have some parts that to me are versatile and
Mm,
provide them options on that front. Whether or not it's going to be better, we don't know.
I don't know.
But you do have the ability to play bigger because Kinlaw's bigger, and again, Wise is a 6'5" and 280. You got
Mm,
some strength. If you want to do that, you got Eddie Goldman inside, who's got, he's a phone, he's a big fella inside. So there, and I think you can play different variety of fronts, maybe with more personnel than they've had. Whether or not it's better, I think time will tell. But
yeah.
it feels like they're trying to go a more, maybe provide more options.
More options, get bigger up front. And then on offense, I mean, we haven't even really talked about
Right,
Debo yet. I mean,
right.
that's that's got to be like Christmas for Cliff Kingsbury to have a guy like that come in. Pair him with Terry McLaurin. You also got Eckler. If he can stay healthy for the full season, another versatile guy. That's just like another fun weapon to add to the offense. I still think they need to figure out. And I'm with Dan Quinn when he kind of pushed back on the notion of a true number 2 receiver. I'm with him on that, but I
Mhm.
also think they need to find somebody who can handle the workload of being, more of a consistent presence on the field as a receiver. They rotated a lot last year. They don't have Alameda back. Noah Brown's back. But I still think they could add to that group a bit. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they brought back the full tight ends room. I know there's always a possibility with Zach. It was very clear that Zach Ertz wanted to be back, but there are some interesting guys in this draft. I thought maybe, they might look there or, explore the market, but they brought back him and John Bates. John Bates got a 3-year deal. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they utilize that group again.
For sure. And it's funny that because offensively, like, what would you want as another receiver? What would you be looking for what they, what might help
Yeah.
them
I
based
would
on what
like
they,
size, just to add some size there. And Noah Brown helps with that. I still think there's room for a bigger body there. And add more speed. I don't think you can ever go wrong with
right.
too much speed. Losing Diami, I think Diami was underrated with his speed. He contributed sort of sparingly, did better last season, but that dude is fast as hell. I mean, I think his touchdown catch, I think it was like one of the fastest in the league last year. So I still think they could add some more there. I mean, Debo had some for sure, but
But he
yeah,
in a different way too, because a
different way.
lot of his, yeah. And so like some of those go routes and all that, that's
Yeah,
not always what he was doing in San
yeah,
Francisco. So, but yeah, I agree. Like adding speed is never a bad
it's never a
thing.
bad thing. It's
There,
like adding bacon to things. You can never have it never goes poorly.
So I used to have a neighbor who I would talk about it. I tell him what I made. And he goes, well, how'd you make it? And I said, well, I started with bacon. He goes, well, no wonder it was good. Now I didn't always use bacon, but he's like, every time I
Yeah.
told him what I made, it would start with bacon.
Yeah.
He just thought it
Yeah.
was like, that's a cheat code.
It's a
And,
totally. It's
but it's
easy.
like,
Easy win.
but why? Like, yeah, but if it's bacon is good, why wouldn't you use it? You put bacon on peanut butter and jelly, it's probably going to be okay. Well, maybe not there. So, anyways, let's get
Totally.
back to football.
Totally.
Let's
Hold
get
on.
back to football.
There you go. Come here. Sorry. Sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Little play-by-play because she is picking up little Julian. So,
Sorry.
and he has been very good. I haven't not heard him, and I don't think anybody else has either. So, we did talk to Tunsil on today is Monday. What did you think of after just kind of getting to talk to him for a few
Yeah.
minutes?
I thought, I mean, I thought he was really interesting. He was very candid or pretty candid when asked about, why did you think Houston was willing to trade you? I mean, they're five-time Pro Bowl left tackle. They also got rid of their guard. Like, what went wrong? I think is how Ben phrased it, right? Like,
Right.
what went sideways? And he said, no, I just think they wanted to invest in their youth. They want to get their young guys more time. And sure enough, they paid Derek Stingley today some serious money.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting. When asked about his own contract and whether he would, like to begin talks on an extension, he said, they know where I stand. So he didn't need to say much to make it very clear,
No,
like how he feels on the matter. Like,
yeah, I think it's
okay,
pretty,
we know what that means.
yeah, it's pretty clear. And
Yeah,
that was, he of course is his own agent. That was very clear what he meant.
yeah,
What what's the trickle down effect you think of getting him? How big, how vast is
yeah.
it? How important is it?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, to get Jaden's blindside protected, I mean, that's huge. To me, that's one of the most important positions on the field outside of quarterback. Just getting the guy that will protect him. And again, like they haven't made serious investments like that on the line in years. So to get a guy of that caliber, I think is huge. And yeah, it'll have ripple effects. What does this mean for Brandon Coleman? Will he move to right tackle? Will he move inside? We'll see. But I think anytime you can get a guy of his caliber to help on the offensive line, even if you still want to build through the draft, I think it's huge. Again, you're trying to maximize your time with Jaden Daniels on this rookie contract.
So let's go a little bit quick here. Do you feel like they're better or worse on offense than at the end of last year?
I think they're better. I mean, I want to believe they're better. I feel like they upgraded their offensive line. They added another weapon in Deebo Samuel. They brought back a lot of guys that were quality players for them last year. Zach Ertz was a quality player for him last year. The question may always be, especially for anybody at this stage in their career,
Right.
is can they stay healthy? He stayed healthy for all 20 games last year, which hasn't done in years. Can he do it again? Great. Austin Eckler, I think, is still a very good player, again, if he can stay healthy. So yeah, I think they got better. I like that they brought back Noah Brown. I think maybe with a full season he can do a lot more. So yeah, I like where things stand on offense. I still would like to see them add another piece, be it tight end, receiver, whatever.
Right. And I'm with you. I think they're better. I'd like to see, I'd like to see there's some good running backs in this draft class. I'd like to see one of those guys if possible, because they are some dynamic backs. I think they could use another threat out of the backfield. Home run threat, that would be good. Defensive line, better, worse, same, or TBD.
TBD.
Okay.
TBD. Again, not totally sold on the Javon Kinlaw trading, but signing. But I hope he, shows I hope some of the potential that they clearly see in him really starts to come forward. And I'm curious to see how they see him fitting.
Right.
Same with Goldman and Wise. And obviously Goldman will play inside with a man that size.
Right.
And then what other additions they may be planning to the line.
Right.
So yeah, I think the defense is still a work in progress.
And I think that's the key is there's another piece we're waiting to see. Linebackers about the same. Secondary, let's break it down. Corners.
Corners, I say wait and see. I mean, I like the players. There's nothing wrong with the players they brought in. I like them. I just don't know the fit. I don't know, like we were talking about earlier with the versatility, how they see those guys matching up. I mean, do they plan to keep Mikey Senior still on the outside? I would think after he had a very fine season on the outside, but do they envision him as moving back to the inside?
And
See,
because Jones can play both as well.
they both.
And it's
Yep.
funny because like you talk to people out there, like they think he was better maybe inside, but he can definitely play outside.
Yep.
So it gives them some options.
Right.
Igbenogany back, and then
Right.
St. Just is out. So it's kind of to me so much rests on how does Lattimore play? Because if he
Exactly.
plays at a certain level, consistent level, doesn't have to be great every game. It's hard to do, but if you can play at a consistent level and handle those AJ Brown assignments a little bit better, that's what you guys see. Safety, you're bringing in Harris, but you're losing Chin.
I like the signing.
So do I.
I'm okay with that. I thought Chin had a good season. I think there was room for improvement there, definitely. And I mean, I like what I've seen of Will Harris. I thought it was a good pickup.
One thing I like is the way when you talk to these guys, and again, we're talking to them on Zoom, they're telling us whatever, but I do think like when you watch Harris play, when you watch Jones play, some of those guys,
Yeah.
you can see that whatever they're saying is backed up by what you see on film. Like the way they play, they're very well suited to what Dan Quinn seems to want in a
Yep.
player.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like some of the makeup of these guys where, there's not to say that others aren't scrappy or they don't play hard. It's just some of these guys, the way their careers have gone, they always feel like they're proving themselves. Like I look at a Jonathan Jones, he wasn't
Right.
expected to do much, and here he is, starting outside corner for the Patriots. He's got 2 rings, so I think they like those guys who have proven themselves, who have overcome some sort of adversity. It was one of the things they really liked about Jaden Daniels, because they understand sort of what it takes to get where they've gotten, and how to continually improve. So yeah, I like a lot of their guys with that.
And it's funny because the other thing they all talked about was the culture here. And I know, like,
Yeah.
after a while, a few years ago, we kept, people would roll their eyes at the word culture because it became such a dominant thing. But it's
Yeah.
being used to say not this is what we want to do, but this is what we are. And
Right.
so, but what have you made about that? And is there any concern? Because like it's hard to replicate what they had last year. That
Yeah.
was a unique group.
It
Is
was
that
unique, and I don't think anybody should be expecting, a replicate of that. Um, but I think the most notable thing is that people want to come to Washington, and that is massive for, close to 3 decades. Who wanted to be a part of this train wreck, knowing there was so much else going on and
Right.
it was almost impossible to win. But now they got a great young quarterback, ownership willing to invest. I mean, guys want to come here. It's a spot that's intriguing to not just the guys they signed, but as we've heard from others. I mean, Justin Simmons was on that podcast saying, he's really interested in Washington. I mean, how many we hadn't heard that in years. And I
Right.
think that's just a reflection of, the full franchise turnaround. There's been a lot of changes in the building, from ownership down, and it's so far so good. There will be blips along the way, sure, but people want to come here.
Reporters, as you know, can be a little bit jaded by nature at times, right? And especially like in a situation like that, because we've heard a lot of that talk before. Was there a point where you kind of thought it was more than just talk about that turnaround?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's 2 parts to it for me. I mean, as far as like the front office and the way they run their business. I feel like I got that sense pretty early on in the 2023 season when they put so much into like, making training camp better and to investing into the current stadium, and really put an effort into like rebuilding some of the relationships with alumni. That was the first part. Then on the field, I mean, it's probably the Cincinnati game. And honestly, it all starts with Jaden Daniels. Begins and ends with Jaden Daniels. When you get a quarterback, everything changes. And he's a damn good one. And to see what he was able to do in prime time in that game was honestly extraordinary given the circumstances. So that was probably when I knew. And him.
Very good. from Jaden to Julian, Nicki, thank you very much. If you got anything you want to plug coming up where people can find you, etc., have at it.
Not really. We're just big on Cheerios here, so yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
honey nut or regular?
It's regular. We're into heart health here, okay?
Okay, let's get it. Honey nut is really.
I know. I'm scared to put them on
fan.
sugar.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you've
no.
seen them. Oh my God. I put them on sugar. I'm
Well,
dead.
just make sure you get those Starbucks with 8 shots of espresso. So
Mm,
like
got
mother
to.
like chop.
Got to.
Nikki, thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to Nikki for joining me, and thank you, as always, for tuning in. I will be back on Thursday with another episode, so I'll talk to you next time.